Yo, sup, swag gang? You already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, KR, aka KL Swag, back here with a video, man. We are back here again with another urinating tree video, man. Shout out to my Discord, man. If you guys want to join the Discord, be in the Discord, man, let me know down below in the comments, man. I will drop the link for y'all, bro. Follow me on IG, KswaggReacts. All my social media is KswaggReacts, man. TikTok, all that stuff, bro. Let's go crazy, man. The Haters Guide to Super Bowl 57. Y'all already know how we get down. Let's check it out.
These playoffs honestly turned out close to what I expected. A few teams at the top surrounded by frauds and those punching above their weight. Even then, any given Sunday had us hope that someone could rise from the ashes, but not really this year. Too many variables and injuries for anyone.
Damn, Christian?
Those that didn't make it further, I'm sorry, but it's time to read your epitaph. What could have been? That's the only thing I'm thinking after this one. Buffalo was oddly off throughout this match. They were trying to hand Miami a hilariously embarrassing loss at home. With all the narratives and emotion in the world, yet they still couldn't capitalize. They were too battered by injury on the offensive front. Even with the lead in the second half,
I will say, if they had two, they would have won. Miami would have beat Bills.
It's a damn shame, but it was a near impossible task with Skylar Thompson under center. If the Dolphins have a healthy
showed it too.
They probably win.
The Bills showed that they wasn't really that good, but it went against a third-string quarterback. So much hope at the
beginning of the year, only to have it all fall apart at the worst possible time.
Defense is good, but the offense...
Josh Boyer's defense was part of the problem.
Y'all think it is.
And he's been canned. Just hope Tua doesn't have any lingering effects from those concussions. If he does, your ass is in the jackpot. It's one thing to be without your best weapon on the field of play.
All the receivers was dropping the ball.
To be closer to victory than you ever expected, yet still come up short. There's a dignity in being slaughtered. You don't get your hopes up. You acknowledge you were completely outmatched and move on. But when you're competitive, dare I say the better team, it's a brutal way to go out. The Ravens chant nevermore and croaked like Poe in an alleyway. What did you think the problem was? It was the offense. Like it has been for the past 2 months. This team wasn't to be trusted. And they confirmed it with a QB sneak at the 2-yard line that backfired horrifically. Was that imitation Lamar going rogue? Whatever it is, J.K. Dobbins is the next in a long line of Baltimore skill players that are living. As a decade of pain continues, prepare for the biggest offseason in franchise history. It won't involve you, Greg Roman. Quoth the Ravens. There's the door. The Chargers chargered so hard that it outchargers any chargering past.
Embarrassing.
If I were them, I would pray to the Lord for forgiveness, for they have committed the ultimate sins. Getting endless opportunities from T-Law imploding under the bright lights. A 5-turnover differential, all in the first half. A 27-point lead in the second quarter. I always felt the Chargers were escaping their own incompetence all season, but this is something different. This is their magnum opus. Years of horrifying self-inflicted failure pale in comparison to the outright larceny committed on whatever's left of their fan base. It was special. Something Falcons and Texans-esque. They checked down Joe Lombardi's pink slip, but they should have gone further. You don't recover from this kind of loss. You have to wipe it clean. Keeping Brandon Staley around proves that this franchise is forfeit. Just watch the same shit happen next year. If only games were played for 30 minutes, right, Brandon?
Who is Brandon?
I'll give them credit for being one of the rare 7 seats that can keep up in the Pity Playoff Invitational for about 3 quarters.
I'm about to say, who was number 23?
And not many can with San Francisco. We all wondered if we were going to laugh heartily in Santa Clara, but then... yeah. Total collapse where the entire team met the blue screen of death. Even in the face of Brock not having the prettiest game, Seattle ran out of gas and it showed. Hell of a season, though. There wasn't much to expect from this team, and they exceeded all goals and then some. Can't shit on them for what they did. Even with forgetting how to play football in the 4th quarter. Seahawks, you'll be fine. Put some used chewing gum in the leaks and call it a day. I couldn't shake the thought of Tampa Bay somehow bullshitting to a win against Dallas. Too many elements at play. But that's why we call the playoffs a clean slate. It shows us how terrible the Bucs were this season. Dallas brought their A game and put this pathetic team to bed. It was a mercy kill if you were to ask me. Tampa somehow took their awful play, horrifyingly bad offense, and clueless coaching and made it even worse. Tom Brady did his best imitation of 2015 Peyton Manning behind a running game that predictably didn't do shit. The Cowboys terrorized their opponents so badly that it could be deemed a glorified bye week. Byron Leftwich may regret not taking the Jags job, but Todd Bowles will continue to have Dick LeBeau.
Tom Brady was fast. He could have ran that in for a
Excellent
touchdown.
coordinator, terrible head coach. Welcome back to Hellbox. It's gonna be a long free fall as Brady becomes a Raider. Oh, so Tom Brady's retiring again?
I don't think so.
Oh, great. I'm not being fooled by this one again. I'm not mentioning a comment on this until he's dead and buried in the ground.
Damn.
I learned my lesson from last year. I still want him to be a Raider, though. It'd be hilarious. A former Vikings coach said it best. They are who we thought they were. Frauds. A glorified 9-win team that ended up shooting well above their pay grade and finally got called out for it. Minnesota should have learned to fortify its defenses. When going up against the Giants, it felt like they could do nothing to stop them. You can't look at how poorly they played and tell me this was a quality football team. Ed Donatel butchery all season. Firing him afterwards is too late. High-end talent isn't enough to bail out whatever that was. And it was painful. Daniel Jones and Saquon had a field day.
They did.
You gave New York the worst thing you could have offered. Legitimate hope. Kirk Cousins may have had a good game, but his legacy in Minnesota is set in stone. A 3-yard check down on a 4th and 8. Perpetually coming up short. The story of the Kirk era.
That was stupid.
It's a shame he's going to be Bill Buckner and he doesn't deserve it, but that's how the human brain works. Despite this being a winnable game, the Jags should feel no shame for the season they had. Going from shag clown to clown in LA's failson is impressive all its own. But even then, they weren't ready for a deep push. Despite everything given to them by the Chiefs to win. Despite Patrick Mahomes being injected with enough Toradol to knock out an elephant. Despite KC's defense being as suspect as Carmen goddamn San Diego, Jacksonville couldn't capitalize. Any chances they had to win were squandered. Opportunities not converted. Fumbled away like Jamal Agnew in the red zone. Alas, all you can ask is what could have been. Watching Chiefs fans squirm would have been an outstanding sight. But once again, Duval was undercut. But what a future you seem to have. A legitimate franchise QB manning the helm to hopefully catapult the Jags back to contending status. It's a beautiful thing. The only downside I can really think of is being stuck with Trent Baalke for the next 5 years. To be fair, that may be a brutal punishment all its own. Tried to ignore how awful they looked against the Dolphins. I overlooked a ton of red flags that popped up about this team over the year. The narratives were just too good. A snow game in Buffalo, strong favorites against Cincy, DeMar Hamlin in attendance. The Bills made sure it was a storybook ending. The tale was Rumpelstiltskin. The Emperor is without
so damn bad, bro. That's
Buffalo,
crazy.
with everything trending in their favor, laid a massive egg. What doesn't frustrate me is the inconsistent offense, nor the persistence on Zone D, nor being outclassed in every facet. It's that this was supposed to be the year. All the talk about how Buffalo got screwed over by a coin.
Everybody said that.
Everyone proclaiming you to be a Super Bowl favorite, myself included.
Everybody said Buffalo Bills was going to go crazy.
To be fair, I don't know if a healthy Vaughn would have helped. The Bengals were just the better team.
They was?
I honestly have no idea what you do if you're the
They
Bills.
lost.
This was your best shot. And you muffed it. Overused like Josh Allen on offense. He is their crutch. And until let go, they are doomed to the same fate over and over. Nobody circles the wagons of futility like the Buffalo Bills. This outcome shouldn't be surprising. The Giants were playing way over their heads all season. Marching into Philly was their death sentence. Merely being chucked into a gladiator pit to be slaughtered by eagles. They were a far superior class of team, and it showed all game long. Philly forced Daniel Jones to beat them with his arm. And he just can't do it. The G-Men didn't stand a chance from the opening kickoff. And it was a slow and painful death for 60 minutes. It's a damn good season for a team that needed it, but this outcome leaves them with more questions than answers if you believe
Crazy
it.
on me.
New York has a fascinating
crazy
offseason coming up. What do you do with Danny and Saquon? Keep one, both, or neither? Does management feel that this season was a fluke, or do they have potential for something more? There are arguments either way, and I trust Shane and Dable to guide them down the right path.
That's an easy pick. You're dumb.
They've earned it after this.
You're dumb.
Congratulations, your team
Cowgirls.
still can't make it past the second round of
Cowgirls.
the playoffs.
Easy pick.
It's the greatest tradition in the NFL world. One that truly allows Dallas to earn the title of America's team.
Ooh,
The nation celebrates when they're eliminated. Best of all, it was in a game that the Cowboys could have easily won. Their defense played valiantly throughout. but all it did was reinforce so many narratives about Dallas that you could mistake it for the 80s TV show. Predictable follies abound.
Look at this.
Defensive players holding their ground for the
Zeke can't
offense
catch.
to do whatever the hell was pretending to attempt. Dak Prescott knew this was a legacy-defining game, yet fell apart when it mattered. Kind of like the
Damn,
Cowboys
Trayvon
themselves,
Diggs.
if you think about it. Any situation where you need your absolute best, Dallas falters. And everyone knows nothing's going to change. More of the same old things are going to keep popping up in the future, which includes the most hilarious play to end a game since Dak running a QB sneak up the middle with no timeouts. No, he's not the Black Kirk Cousins. That comparison's insulting to Kirk. The gods have a cruel sense of humor. They'll build up teams and give them a false sense of confidence only to humiliate them in big moments. I had a feeling this was going to happen to Cincy. They were getting way too cocky, talking so much shit that no one in their right mind could back up. Eli Apple and Mike Hilton running their mouths, Burrowhead Stadium, the fucking mayor of Cincinnati issuing a paternity test from Mahomes. You're just asking for trouble. A healthy serving of humble pie must be delivered by a man with one healthy leg.
Yeah, that was a nice pick.
I want to say one thing. The ref ball was especially heinous. An incredibly fucky game that felt manipulated as hell. Even then, the refs weren't the main reason the Bengals lost. They did this to themselves. A backup offensive line hurt them at the worst moments. Burrow chucking arm punts on 3rd and short. And the coup de grace, a back-breaking 15-yard penalty sending the Chiefs to field goal range. Shades of the 2016 wildcard game. Brutality in slow motion.
Damn.
Victory within grasp, yet manages to slip away. Forced to swallow a pill of bitter regret. It's the pain of the postseason and the cost of glory.
Damn.
A true shame. Injuries have destroyed the Niners in 3 of the last 5 seasons.
They said that catch
The
was out of
ultimate
bounds.
curse, it happened again. San Francisco was decimated
They still
by
got
forces
whooped, but
beyond
damn.
their control. Losing 2 QBs is hard enough, but the 3rd time was finally the charm. Big Cock Brock was cut down by a fucked elbow. Having no choice, they were forced to chuck the eternal journeyman Josh Johnson out to play the biggest game of his life. Before he was also knocked out of the game. You're forced to rely on a Brock that can't throw a football more than 3 yards, you're done. Their entrails used as meat for a cheesesteak stand. Maybe those will show as much unnecessary fight
Bro,
as
I'm
the
running back
Niners did.
sliding.
Horrifically undisciplined. Even if the Eagles got a ton of breaks, they were winning this one easily regardless. It was a funeral, and Kyle Shanahan is Sisyphus, continually pushing the ball to a star QB on top of the hill only for it to get hurt and fall off the other side. Such a terrible fate. Pray for his children.
And that was a good tackle.
Once you meet with a TurboTax
I ain't gonna lie, that was a
expert,
good
they'll
tackle.
do your taxes for you. You're free
That
to
was a
do
good ass
no
tackle.
taxes.
Debo.
These playoffs have played out as I've expected. A handful of good teams surrounded by shit. 2 of the best have made it here, and the AFC is being represented by a common one. Time is a circle. No matter what everyone fancies about the league and its teams, the same outcomes tend to occur over and over again. You may speak of the rivals ready to take the Chiefs off their pedestal, the Chargers and their talented offense, the Broncos bringing in Russell Wilson in a huge move, the Raiders managing to exist, not to mention Buffalo and their revenge tour were gearing up to finally exhume their demons. Kansas City was getting cocky. Their haughtiness cost them the last few seasons. The Super Bowl against Tampa Bay where they were crushed by hydraulic press. Don't forget last year where they went out to a sizable lead against the Bengals only to be one-upped. The King was seemingly on his last breath. Facing a deep cap crunch, losing one of their best offensive weapons in Tyreek Hill via trade. You'd think the age of the Chiefs would be over, right? Not really. When you aim for the King, you best not miss.
Oh my
Inherently
gosh, that was a
flawed,
nice
there were
play.
still weapons out the wazoo. And with Patrick Mahomes under center, they will always have a chance at greatness. Even on one leg, he will make magic happen. All the while,
made
every
his ass
broadcaster
fall.
takes
Oh my
turns
gosh.
collating him during games. There is some justification to it.
Oh my
In the face
god.
of football, you could argue. A man who enjoys ketchup on steak and driving a stake through the heart of his enemy.
The way he be
This
balling,
includes
bro, is
Cincinnati.
ridiculous. The way he be
Oh,
doing
what
that.
a brutal sight that was to witness. The weapons that flank
Like
him
he's
are
not
newer
too
faces,
fast, but
but
he's
still
not slow
threats
either.
nonetheless. There is a number 10 similar to Tyreek, but don't be fooled. That's merely Isaiah Pacheco, who's blossomed into a playmaker in his own right.
Yeah.
Not bad for a 7th-round rookie. Jarek
real.
McKinnon's still kicking as a specialist in the backfield, and staying healthy as well. At wideout, it's a changed group. McCole Hardman's still here, but there's no real headliner of the bunch. Weapons aplenty, however.
But Cole Hartman, is he hurt or
Names being
something? I've been
off-season
saw
pickups
him
in
play.
Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Not to mention
Hartman
Kadarius
must be
Toney,
hurt.
whenever he's healthy. They were allowed to be free because another main piece is still
He gotta
around.
be hurt.
Travis Kelce. Wherever he is, you must be wary. He will punish defenses no matter what they do. Opposing fans throughout the world will scream why nobody's covering Kelce. Well, that's because he's like Teflon. Nothing sticks. Not to mention that strong offensive line led by Creed Humphrey and Orlando Brown. It's a deadly weapon all its own. And they're not down to backup tackles this time around. The defensive line is the catalyst for all hope on that end. Frank Clark and
Oh my
Chris
God,
Jones are
bro.
the cornerstones of it. Jones has been a beast, but Clark has been disappointing this season. George Karlaftis and Carlos Dunlap are other formidable weapons on this front.
Damn.
All teams have a weakness, however, and this one's flaw is in pass protection. It's one of the worst in the league. And despite all that Willie Gay and Nick Bolton do, it can't hide the fact that their secondary is young and inexperienced. They lost Javarius Ward and the Honey Badger in free agency last offseason, and L'Jarius Sneed suffered injury in the game against Cincy. So if he's not healthy, they'll have to rely on Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, Justin Reed, and Juan Thornhill to man the fort. Not exactly striking the most fear into defenses. You shouldn't scoff at them, however. Kansas City is in a position where it does its best. Hungry.
The offense.
Looking to upend those that doubt them. We made that mistake earlier.
What?
We've
To
suffered
that
the
white dude,
consequences
bro,
for
that
it.
plays for...
The Chiefs will be going to their third Super Bowl in 4 years.
Y'all gotta tell me,
That
bro. What happened to
Andy
that
Reid
white
eats the
dude? That
doubters of
Daniel
this team in
Sorensen
the
dude? What
form of
happened
a
to him?
delicious cheeseburger.
Did he
This
get
will
his
be his
spot
fourth
taken
trip
or
to the
something?
big
What
game,
happened to him?
and perhaps his second
look him
ring
up,
in the
bro.
process. To get that,
Look him
however,
up.
he'll
I
have to
wonder
go
what
up
happened
against
to
the
him. He
folk he knows
disappeared.
very,
Did he
very
get
well.
released?
This is one of the few times where we will willingly go back to 2020. It was a year of hell, especially for the Eagles. To the glory of every division rival in the NFC East, Philly was terrible.
Oh, he
Carson
got
Wentz
signed with the
collapsing
New
under the
Orleans
weight of Doug
Saints?
Peterson and his own propensity for hero ball. Years upon years of drafting fuck-ups. A flawed roster with next to no hope on the way. Howie Roseman about to be deservedly roasted
Damn,
on
that
an
nigga
open
32
fire.
years old.
Just under 3 years after a Super Bowl win, they were relegated to accusations of tanking in their final game against Washington. After such a disaster,
Damn.
things needed to change. And Peterson was cast into the abyss for both losing the
Bro, that's crazy, bro. He was playing with the New Orleans Saints? I mean, he played with the New Orleans Saints? No, that's crazy as hell. I thought he was still with the Chiefs. I was wondering, where's 42 on the team? Damn,
plot and losing a power struggle.
that's crazy.
Things looking mighty bleak for the Eagles, right? A bunch of baffling moves would usually signal the doom of all involved. However, Philly chose to unleash their deadliest
That's a
weapon.
beautiful pick.
A conversion to Satanism. Delving into the dark arts, Roseman found ways to take a terrible situation and save it from falling into a precipice. I would advise against making draft day trades with him. They tend to usually work out in Philly's favor. The quarterback he's found his prize. Many questioned him drafting Jalen Hurts. He was cast off from Alabama. You have Carson Wentz. His upside at the NFL level is rather limited. That was until this
Safety
year.
tripping. I would have made a play on that. I would
2022,
have
he
picked
burst
that
from the
off.
doldrums to become
Devontae
one of the
Smith
upper
would
tier
not have caught
QBs
that.
in the league. A weapon with a surprisingly accurate and potent arm. A man blessed with maneuverability and finesse in his feet. A true dual threat
Damn.
option. And oh, the weapons he has to choose from. Try running back, where he not only has Miles Sanders, but the spiritual successor to Darren Sproles in Boston Scott, and a third formidable option in Kenneth Gainwell.
Yep.
Try tight end, where Dallas Goedert has taken the reins from a traded Zach Ertz to become an ever-important safety valve for Hurts. But wide receiver, that's where they really shine. Philly finally hit on a drafted wideout.
Oof.
I know, it's stunning. Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside busted so Devontae Smith could fly and catch
That's true.
incredible passes and become one of the best wide receivers in the game.
Yep.
He doesn't get enough attention. You know why? Go back to draft time. Jacksonville breaking the bank for Christian Kirk opened up an opportunity. A legitimate headliner was ripe for the taking. And Philly refused to look a gift horse in the mouth. A.J. Brown, it's time for you and your wallet to shine like gangbusters. The man that helps Philly's offense become a dynamo. I have to give credit to that offensive line as well. One of the best units in the game, bar none. Even with an injured Lane Johnson at right tackle. By the way, has anyone mentioned that Jason
One second,
Kelce
y'all.
is Travis Kelce's brother yet? Are You tired of hearing about it? Good, because here's at least 50 more statements as such. Here are 100 statements on how loaded their defensive line and edge rushers are. 4 men with at least 10 sacks. Freshly paid Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrave, longtime vet Brendan Graham. Fletcher Cox is still kicking ass as a 3-tech. Not to mention they just drafted an absolute beast in Jordan Davis when he's healthy. They've loaded up with vets in an all-in push. Ndamakung Su, Linval Joseph, Robert Quinn. Quinn's barely played. It's a threat all its own. At linebacker, TJ Edwards and Chargers refugee Kaiser White man the fort, but in the secondary, it's another all-in push. Over the past few years, trades and acquisitions for the likes of Big Play Slay, James Bradbury, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Not to mention homegrown talents like Avonte Maddox and Marcus Epps. Thanks for Epps, Minnesota. Philly is no longer the Rocky Balboa clone they were the last time they were here. They're a legitimate juggernaut. A team that's crushed nearly everyone that stood in their path. It may have been a ridiculously easy road to get back here, but the road still must be traveled regardless. It's also a chance of revenge against the man that was a symbol for past failures in Andy Reid. Him and Donovan McNabb were enemies of the state for a long time. And while both Reid and the team have experienced success since parting ways, revenge is always desired. So what'll it be moving forward? A Kansas City barbecue or a Philadelphia nightmare? Only one way to find out. Any given Sunday is what everyone says. We've seen it happen over and over throughout the regular season, but these playoffs have been rather predictable. Although I kind of expected it. To me, Kansas City's secondary is just too weak to make a huge difference against Philly's passing attack.
I will say that.
The defensive line must get pressure.
But Jalen Hurts doesn't pass like that.
I don't know if they can here. Cincy's O-line was weak.
Jalen Hurts run the ball a lot, bro.
Is still formidable.
That offense,
that alone, I'm going with
they run the ball, bro. Gainwell,
really
Miles,
all I know is that we'll be so tired of the storylines, we'll be dying for the game to start.
Man, Jalen Hurts gonna be throwing it here and there. Man, majority of the time they gonna throw the ball, bro. I mean, they gonna run the ball. All right, see y'all in the next video, bro. Stay swagged up. Damn, do not clip.